Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love, a love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service.
Arise and shout,
Good morning. I'm Don Dickey, a member of All Souls, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here on this Sunday morning. It's also a time of turmoil in our economy and in our financial markets where people watch their 401ks become 201ks. It is an unsettling time, and it's good we get together. And whether you are here in the room or watching us online, we are glad you're here. Your presence enriches all of us and our time together. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Our tradition is a large tent with room for many beliefs and approaches to the questions that matter. It is our values of inclusion, compassion, and justice that hold us together. We seek to build the beloved community, making room for everyone and creating a world where everyone's needs are met. You may be new here this morning. Welcome. We know that your first time attending a church, you may want to keep a low profile and just check things out quietly. That's great. We are here and we're glad you're here. And if you are a visitor and excited to be here, to let us all know that you are, we invite you to raise your hand at this time. We've got some new people. Wonderful. Thank you for enriching all of us with your presence today. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. We invite visitors interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism and All Souls to attend a UU Basics class after the service at noon in Reverend Erin's office. As you exit the sanctuary, you go off towards the doors you probably came in. Reverend Erin's office is right next to those doors. Childcare is provided in the nursery, and to get to the nursery, you would go left, down the hallway, past the restrooms, and the nursery is located there. There will be some treats provided for the young ones to eat.
Chag Pesach Sameach. Happy Passover. The Jewish holiday of Passover began at sundown last night, and it continues for 7 days. It is the spring celebration of the Jewish people finding freedom from slavery. And truly, spring is upon us, with the sunshine and the warmth, a time to marvel at the blooms, the opening leaves, and the dusting of pollen on everything. A time to prune the bushes and the trees, cutting back that which has died, that which has overgrown, and if you're like me, for finding your hands and arms covered in scratches from the giant boxwoods in your backyard. Now we emerge from our homes, greet our neighbors, and make a hard decision between sitting outside and coming to church. It is so good to see you here, to know that you find something in this community and the worship service here to be sitting indoors listening to me. Let us be joyful in our celebrations of spring, of Passover, of the brightness of the sun and the blooming of the plants and the hope in the warmth upon our skin. We are together to recognize the importance of relationship, to acknowledge that joy is best shared, to point one another in the direction of deeper meaning. Come, let us worship together.
We light this chalice in celebration of joy, the flickering flame of a candle, a flame that shimmers, that dances, that cheers, the flame that heartens and encourages us in hard times, the welcoming flame of this community. Please stand as you are able and join in the affirmation of our covenant, then remain standing as we join together in song. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and this is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Our first song this morning is Vine and Fig Tree, which is a traditional Hebrew tune and with words from the book of Micah, which is in the Old Testament and Torah. And if we can go to the next slide, please, Sam. You'll see that there is a little tiny one up, and we'll go faster than 116, okay? So, but there's a little one, and we're going to sing that part twice. And then you see the little 2 in the middle of the second line, not the one in the second ending, but the circle 2. We're going to sing that part twice, and we're going to sing the first part twice, and we're going to sing the second part twice, and then we're going to sing the first part twice again. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Good luck.
I'll help.
I have a picture book. anyone who would like to come here and sit with me while we read a picture book is welcome to come forward. Mostly I mean the young people, but I'm not picky. Good morning. Good morning, Bridget. Good morning, Jude. Good morning. Oh, I am just looking at a beautiful collection of stuffies with these children. Oh, yeah, we've got an owl, and bunny rabbit, and a Dalmatian, and a flying Pegasus unicorn, and an elephant. Her name is Coco. The unicorn flying Pegasus is named Coco. Very important. And the elephant's named Coco. Say hello to Coco and Coco. So, as I said to the grown-ups earlier, last night, Jewish people started celebrating their holiday called Passover. And it's a really important holiday that is based on the story that is in the Bible in the book of Exodus. And I'm not going to read you from the book of Exodus today. That would take a while. You know the cover? So do I. We're going to read this much shortened, age-appropriate version of the story of Passover. The story of Passover begins more than 3,000 years ago. You know, it's a big number. More than 3,000 years. Oh my gosh. When Jacob and his family settled in Egypt, Jacob was called Israel, and his family were called the children of Israel. It was not 10,000 million years, but I like how big your brain thinks. They were also called Hebrews because of the language that they spoke. Many years passed. Jacob and his children had all died. To the Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, the children of Israel were outsiders. He was afraid that one day they would rebel. To control them, he made them slaves. He forced them to do hard work. They were beaten. Some were killed. The wise men of Egypt told the Pharaoh that one day a Hebrew boy would be born who would lead his people against Egypt. They couldn't tell him which boy it would be, so the Pharaoh decreed that every newborn Hebrew boy must be thrown into the river and drowned. One boy was saved. At first, his mother hid him. Then, when he grew too big to hide, she placed him in a small basket. She put the basket in the river. The baby's sister, Miriam, hid nearby to see what would happen. A princess, the Pharaoh's daughter, found the baby. She named him Moses and planned to raise him as her own child. Miriam ran to her. "Should I get you someone to help you with the baby?" "Yes," the princess said. Miriam brought the baby's mother to work in the palace. Moses was adopted by the princess, but he knew he was one of the children of Israel. When he was a young man, he saw an Egyptian beat a slave. Moses attacked the Egyptian and killed him. Then he ran away. Moses settled far from Egypt. He married and worked as a shepherd. One day, while Moses was watching the sheep, he saw a burning bush. There were flames, but the bush wasn't harmed. "Moses, Moses," a voice called from the bush. "Yes, here I am." God spoke to Moses from the burning bush. He told Moses to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. Moses and his older brother Erin went to the Pharaoh. They asked him to let the children of Israel go free. The Pharaoh refused. He forced the children of Israel to work even harder. Moses and Erin warned him that if he didn't let the Hebrews go, the waters of Egypt would turn to blood. The Pharaoh refused, and the waters turned to blood. That was the first plague to strike Egypt. There were 10. Frogs covered the land. A thick cloud of lice swarmed over Egypt. Animals ran wild. The Egyptians' cattle became terribly sick and died. Painful boils broke out on the skin of the Egyptians. Huge hailstones mixed with fire fell on the land. A swarm of locusts attacked Egypt. It was as dark as night in the middle of day. Then came the 10th plague. One by one, the firstborn Egyptian sons died. The angel of death only visited the homes of the Egyptians. He passed over the homes of the children of Israel. The Pharaoh was frightened. He was a firstborn son. He called for Moses and Erin. "Leave now," he told them. "Go quickly before we all die." The children of Israel left that very night. The next day, the Pharaoh had a change of heart. He and his army chased after the former slaves. The Pharaoh's soldiers had horses, and their chariots were getting closer and closer to the children of Israel. The Red Sea was in front of them. The soldiers were behind them. They seemed trapped. God told Moses to lift his stick and to spread his hands over the sea. Moses did, and the sea divided. The children of Israel walked through the sea on dry land. Yep, it's an appropriate reaction. The Pharaoh's army followed them. Then, when the soldiers were in the midst of the sea, Moses raised his stick again. The waters flooded together. The Egyptians drowned, and the children of Israel were free. On Passover, Jewish people all over the world celebrate their freedom from slavery and their beginnings as a great nation. Yep. That is a story in the Bible, and whether it actually happened is one of those things that we just don't know because it happened so long ago. Ah, yes. I understand questioning miracles. Unitarians have been questioning miracles for as long as we've been Unitarians. Yes, Jude?
I feel like it's real because those were 10 on his blood.
Okay.
Plus the
Okay, Jude does believe the story. Yep.
I don't think it's real because water does not turn into blood.
Okay, we've got somebody else who doesn't think that water can turn into blood. I'm going to take two more. Two more total. You had your hand raised first. That is really hard to believe that the water would open up into a pathway. Yep. Is there anyone else who hasn't? Cece, you haven't spoken. Go ahead.
I do think it would be
Okay, Cece does think it would be real. And this, what's happening right now, is what I love about Unitarian Universalism, is that we have this conversation. We talk about whether something's real or not, and we accept that different people have different opinions. Okay, well, I do need to send you to your classes now, as much as I want to take all of your questions. I know that Melanie and your teachers have really fun things planned for you to do downstairs. So let us sing our children to their classes. week, 12 people either attended the membership basics class or met with me about becoming members of this church. And I had the opportunity to talk with them about how members are the church and are committed to caring for all that it is and does. Out of that deep sense of commitment, may you be moved to contribute to this, our church, in this morning's offering. The offering shall be graciously given and gratefully received.
I've got a roof over my head. I've got a warm place to sleep. Some nights I lie awake counting gifts instead of counting sheep. I've got a heart that can hold love. I've got a mind that can think. There may be times when I lose the light and let my spirit sink, but I can't stay depressed when I remember how I'm blessed. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. In a city of strangers, I've got a family of friends. No matter what rocks and brambles fill the way, I know that they will stay until the end. I feel a hand holding my hand. It's not a hand you can see, but on the road to the promised land, this hand will shepherd me through delight and despair, holding tight and always there. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. It's not that I don't want a lot, or hope for more, or dream of more, but giving thanks for what I've got makes me so much happier than keeping score in a world that can bring pain. I will still take each chance, for I believe that whatever the terrain, our feet can learn to dance, whatever stone life may sling. We can moan or we can sing. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful.
Please join me in reading the words to dedicate the offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
Our reading comes from Thanking Those Who Packed Our Parachutes, The Essence of Dayenu by Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. It is almost impossible to imagine the Seder night without the singing of Dayenu. Young children to octogenarians can be found humming the addictive melody to Dayenu. Interestingly, the Ramban does not have Dayenu in his Haggadah, and even Rav Sadia Gaon, whose Haggadah serves essentially as the basis for ours, only has Dayenu as an addendum at the end of the Haggadah, among those songs that only those who can hold their wine sing. Yet for us, Dayenu is central, a centerpiece of the Haggadah, and a highlight of the Seder experience. The tune is catchy, but the words and theme are frankly bizarre. Had you taken us from Egypt but not split the sea? Dayenu. Really? Would it have been enough? If you had taken us to Har Sinai but not given us the Torah? Dayenu. It would have been enough. Really? Don't we talk about the Torah as the air we breathe, indispensable to our lives and to our very existence? Had he given us the Torah but not brought us into Israel, would it have been enough? Really? Wasn't Israel created before the world because it, the Jewish people and the Torah, and the three pillars upon which the world is built? Every commentator in every Haggadah has the same question. What do you mean, Dayenu, it would have been enough? Most of the discussions of Dayenu center around an analysis of individual and particular stanzas. However, I want to share with you an insight that will give you an entirely new way to understand Dayenu. Understanding what Dayenu is really about and why it is the centerpiece of our Seder requires us to zoom out the lens and, instead of investigating specific lines, to look at the poem as a whole. What do the 15 stanzas have in common? Why were these events or experiences chosen for it?
The Rabbi Nachman Cohen, in his historical Haggadah, offers a fantastic insight. If you look at the Chumash and in Tehillim, chapter 106 in particular, you will notice that every stanza of Dayenu corresponds with an incredibly gracious act God did for us and our absolute ungrateful response. Here are a few examples. We say, had God just taken us out of Egypt, it would have been enough. However, if you look in Deuteronomy 1:27, it wasn't enough. Because God hates us, he has brought us out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us. Another example. We say, if you just fed us the manna, it would have been enough, but it wasn't enough. We said, our soul loathes this bread. We say, if you just brought us into Israel, Dayenu, it would have been enough, but it wasn't enough. It says in Numbers, Israel is the land that eats up its inhabitants. Explains Rabbi Cohen, Dayenu is our reflecting on our history and repairing the lack of gratitude we exhibited in the past. On Seder night, we look back on our national history, review our story, and identify those moments, those gifts from God that we failed to say thank you for. We rectify and repair our ingratitude and thanklessness through the years by saying Dayenu now. In truth, Dayenu, each of these things was enough to be exceedingly grateful for. Freedom demands gratitude. If you are set free but fail to acknowledge how you attained that freedom, you in fact remain enslaved to your ego and your selfishness. If you cannot recognize what has been done for you and that you could not have done it yourself, you're not freed from your narrow, self-absorbed way of life. Gratitude is a byproduct of true freedom.
For those who know it, da da yenu, da da yenu, da da yenu, da yenu, da yenu, da yenu. Anyway, that's how that goes. And yes, we always sing it that badly. My family always attended the Passover Seder at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Rockford, Illinois, where we were members. I remember helping to set up the tables and match the wine-colored tablecloths to fit on the long line of tables. For several years, I was one of the 4 youngest children who could read, and I asked one of the 4 questions. I remember loving the grape juice and being indifferent to the adults having wine, the matzah and haroset and horseradish and the matzah ball soup. My mother and I usually made all of the matzah balls, always at least 4 dozen. We passed the microphone around the tables, with everyone taking a turn to read a portion of the Haggadah. And at least twice, I found the Afikomen. And I know that only some of you followed any of that, and it's okay. The Seder is a special meal during Passover, when those present retell the story of Exodus through a traditional order. Seder means the order of service, written out as a Haggadah. There are rituals around the matzah and the horseradish and the haroset, which is a sweet mixture of apples, nuts, cinnamon, honey, and wine. Also the parsley and the salt water. Each person drinks several ritual glasses of wine throughout the meal, always in conjunction with a prayer. And after the meal itself is served and eaten, the children hunt for the afikomen, a piece of matzah that is the dessert. I loved the Seder. It was a highlight of my year, and participating in it gave me such an appreciation for Judaism. I do want to be clear about a couple of things related to appropriation. The Seder we did was borderline appropriative. Our minister was Jewish on his father's side, so the practice came partially from his own family. He compiled and edited the Unitarian Universalist Haggadah that we used, which elevated themes of justice, applying the old story to modern struggles. While we did not do the highly appropriate thing of trying to make the Seder about Jesus and Christianity, which is so problematic a thing that some Christian churches do, we were not celebrating Passover in a Jewish context. We kind of claimed it as our own. And that is something we try no longer to do as Unitarian Universalists, acknowledging that traditions and rituals belong to the people whose own ancestors created them. To be appreciative, we share in what the people who originated it do. So if we were to, I'm possibly fantasizing about partnering with Holley for a Seder next year, that would be perfectly fine because we would be doing it with a Jewish congregation. Now, some of you are Jewish, and this is your holiday, and the Seder is your ritual meal. I, however, am not. But I so appreciate the wisdom found within Judaism and the profound nature of the Seder ritual and its tradition of millennia. And if the Seder was a highlight of my year, Dayenu was a highlight of the Seder. You just heard it. It's upbeat, fun, and a tongue twister. Throughout the song, with many verses, as many as 15, you try to push the tempo even faster until the words are garbled, both from the speed itself and the adults having had a cup or two of wine. I loved it. And it never really made sense to me. As Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg asks, what do you mean, Dayenu? It would have been enough. How could it have been enough for God to only help the Jewish people so far? And I greatly appreciate how he uplifted Rabbi Nachman Cohen's interpretation that as the Jewish people were not grateful for those miracles and complained in the history, it is time now for the Jewish people to express their gratitude. It's a fascinating way to look at it. Every year singing that it would have been enough if God hadn't performed these miracles, hadn't led the people out of Egypt, hadn't brought them through the wilderness, hadn't given them the Torah. And singing this to truly reflect on these gifts that brought the Jewish people freedom. Rabbi Goldberg states, freedom demands gratitude. Freedom demands gratitude. In today's American society, such a statement couldn't be more countercultural. For so many white Americans whose families have been here for several generations, it is so easy to take freedom for granted. Some of our ancestors demanded and fought for freedom nearly 250 years ago, and so in that time, it has become a given. I do not have stories of when my family wasn't free. Of course we are guaranteed the Bill of Rights. Of course the law protects us. How could I, in all of my privilege, imagine otherwise? And in not imagining otherwise, on what basis can I truly know gratitude for that freedom? Of course, now, during political uncertainty, when the executive branch of our government is disappearing legal immigrants and calling it an accident, claiming no accountability for the fact that what they have done is illegal or for bringing a person back, now I know a fear of what it might mean to lose my freedom. I've seen the videos of people taken off of the streets. And I know that I will not back down from my values. and the fear sits that one day it may be me who has disappeared, who loses freedom with no warning. Maybe I can begin to imagine. Maybe the stories of history can feel more real. At the same time, I will step back and remember that not everything is to be taken as literally as my first impulse might ask. After dropping the powerful statement that freedom demands gratitude, Rabbi Goldberg broadens the idea of freedom to the way in which we live our lives. That freedom is the heart breaking open to the self-giving love and away from being so self-absorbed. Gratitude as the avenue to acknowledge so much beyond being the hero of our own story. And it's true. The narrowness of believing that any of us can do much of anything entirely on our own is stunning. Each of our stories relies on those around us and those we've never acknowledged further from our own experiences who have made it possible. Drinking my tea, do I think of the plantation in China? Maybe a small family-run one, or maybe something more corporate? Or of the people who plucked the leaves, who tended to the plants, who dried them, who put them through the special process I do not understand that turned the green leaves black? Not usually. But a cup of tea becomes so much else when it includes the gratitude for each person who made it possible for these leaves to steep in my teapot. I've been thinking a lot lately about everything that lined up for me to be here, serving as your minister right now. Of course, there's the UU congregation that raised me, but I also trace the line of my education, the scholarship that made high school at a tiny private college prep school possible, and of the college counselor, Sally Hoff, who convinced my mother that attending a small, selective liberal arts college was even possible for my family, of choosing Grinnell College, where I learned later the chaplain's office had a significant grant from the Eli Lilly Foundation to encourage bright, well-educated young adults into the ministry. And so on, and so forth, through my training and experience in ministry. That I would be here with you today, but in no way on my own. The line of people and happenstance that made who I am today possible. My heart expresses so much gratitude as I take in everyone who has shaped me and given me opportunities. Truly, I have been held up by so many. And your story has its similarities when you look at it. Your own particular line of events, that if this person hadn't done that, this other thing could never have happened, that would lead to this piece, that would lead there. Let your mind touch on each person, on each event, and gently hold them. Appreciate how each has shaped you, held you, guided you, or gave you an opportunity. Offer them your gratitude. And some pieces of our webs that connected us to this present may not be happy memories. And it is okay to notice reactions to those pieces. They deserve gentleness too. The painful memories are part of our stories. They have shaped us, even as goodness would never have wanted them to happen. Each and every step in the series of events in our lives that has brought us where we are is sacred. Even as we, as Unitarian Universalists, lean on science to understand our world, we also make meaning of it. And even happenstance is its own small miracle. Somehow, these moving pieces fell into place, possibly by divine hand, possibly through entropy in the universe. And either way, I am stunned. Either way, there is a sense of the miraculous, and I accept the series of tiny miracles as sacred. They fill me with awe, and I cannot but respond to awe with gratitude. Would it have been sufficient if each piece hadn't lined up in the way that it did? Would it have been enough? That we will never truly know, because it would have been different. When you are in the middle of the story or know its ending so far, it is impossible to know how it might have ended up differently. Of course this happened, because it led to that. But we don't know what would have happened had one piece not occurred. I have no idea where my life might have led if I hadn't had Sally Hoff as a college counselor. It would have been different. There are some who see the laws of the universe as we currently understand them. The seeming predictability of gravitational forces and atomic interactions, of neurochemistry, and findings of how early childhood experiences affect likely outcomes as children grow into adults. And because statistics indicate these likely outcomes, such become expected to the point that the idea of free will becomes impossible. I cannot accept this, however. To argue that physics has no room for the unpredictable is to ignore the very nature of our ever-expanding understanding of physics. We cannot predict how much more that we will learn that will prove so much current understanding wrong. European scientists were utterly convinced that all celestial bodies revolved around the Earth for centuries before Copernicus. What is so amazing about what we do not know is that we do not know what we do not know. And to try to apply these rules as fully governing human behavior is to separate one person from all of the people around them. It falls back into that individualistic hero who saves the world all by herself, as though in a vacuum. But we are people who form community. We are people who care, who reach out, who intervene. Yes, a child with adverse childhood experiences may be more likely to struggle and have much greater challenges in life. But receiving unconditional love can and does change that trajectory. We can heal when we feel safe. We can explore different relationships and values and opportunities when they are before us, be it toward whatever direction. Statistics only demonstrate a likelihood, not a set path. We deeply influence one another, which cannot be predicted. When we deeply consider our lives and steep our experiences with gratitude, when we express that gratitude to those who have helped us, when we count our blessings to come to the conclusion that it would have been enough, we move further toward love. We recognize the importance of everyone around us in creating our story, that we do not live in a vacuum, and that as each of us depends on so many others, we recognize that others depend on us. And that is the ever-present call into a future of greater love and kindness and justice. Let us all recognize each sacred moment, each miracle that has shaped us. And may we say, Dayenu, it would have been sufficient. May it be so. Rise in body, in spirit, in mind, and let us sing together, Bring Out the Festal Bread.
Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom. What modern pharaohs live in arrogance crowned, who shall be sent to challenge folly unbounded. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom. Chains still there are to break, their days are not finished. Metal or subtle made, they're still not diminished. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom. Still does not resentment blind each brother and sister. Still do the plagues affect us red as the river. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom. Long be our journeying, yet justice is worth it. Dad, sister, Miriam, and help us to birth it. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and songs of freedom. Oh, people, lift your heads and look to the mountains. Bushes of flame still call us, rocks still gush fountains. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom.
Oh my. We release this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. It would have been enough, and yet we are here with all of the blessings we hold. It would have been enough. May we hold gratitude in our hearts for all that is our life, today and in the days to come.